Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks. Good afternoon, and welcome to our annual College Scholars Courting Ceremony. I am pleased and grateful that you have joined us here today for this culminating event of our honors program. It's a special year for the program, as it's the 25-year anniversary of the courting ceremony. But it's also a special day for you, the class of 2022, because we're here together, celebrating in community, and you've been through a lot. The College Scholars class of 2022 is the 38th graduating class of college scholars. And it's been quite challenging for all of us to live out the program's motto, excellence through community, the last couple years. It's been difficult within the constraints of the pandemic to do community in the ways we took for granted for so long. And excellence feels like an especially lofty ideal more often than not lately. For those of you who were here before March of 2020, you shared retreats and happy hours and banquets and plans for study abroad experiences. And then, with the realities of the pandemic, you worked through delayed study abroad plans and masked classrooms and revised data collection strategies and challenging thesis journeys. But you persevered through those things, and thankfully, we have been able to celebrate in community again in all sorts of ways these past few weeks. In the classroom, you brought your unique disciplinary perspectives to honors seminars, and last month you presented your theses publicly at the Rawl Symposium, demonstrating your growth as creative and critical thinkers. And today you will share in the tradition of our golden chords. I think what makes the honors program at North Central so special is that each student's journey through it reflects their own scholarly and personal story. The College Scholars class of 2022 represents 24 academic departments across all 3 colleges and schools, and the substance of your thesis projects reflects that diversity. Many of you have integrated your commitment to issues of justice, equity, and wellness with thesis projects focused on race and gender and electoral politics, social and emotional learning in the classroom, accessibility in the arts, trauma-informed care and education, and numerous projects on mental health and well-being. Members of your cohort have traveled the world for study abroad requirements, wrote and directed plays for thesis projects, and made a pitch for a peace garden to a panel of judges as part of the Changemaker Challenge on campus this spring, winning $1,000 along the way. You created, marketed, and facilitated the Honors Salon series, 2 years of faculty-led conversations about race and social justice issues. This weekend, we'll be thrilled to cheer 2 of you on as commencement speakers. A significant part of what makes each College Scholars experience so unique is the incredible guidance, feedback, time, energy, and encouragement of the faculty thesis directors seated behind me. Many of these faculty mentors are working with multiple students. Graduates, I invite you as a group to collectively thank your advisors right now for all of their support and encouragement throughout the thesis process. That's all you have for them? That's better. Thank you. They're so polite. Before we begin the courting, I'd like all of our College Scholars guests and loved ones to please stand if you are able and be recognized for your support in bringing this day and this entire graduation weekend to fruition. Your efforts on behalf of your graduates have impacted all of us, and we thank you. I'd also like to thank all who have served as second readers and as librarians on a thesis this year. To stand, please. Thank you for your extensive work with our students and for being so generous with your time and your feedback. Laura Lodowick, Amy Smith, Mary Reynolds, Kristen Guido, Becca Rimkus, I can't see, but I think a lot of you are out there. I want to thank you for your work in planning this event and other honors events, and in helping our students in numerous ways as they move through their participation in the honors program. We would be lost without you. And finally, before we begin courting our graduating seniors, we need to recognize one more person. Brittany Jingaleski, will you please join me up here? Brittany has served as the graduate assistant for the honors program for the past 2 years and is graduating with her Master of Arts in Higher Education Leadership. She is a 2018 graduate of the college and of the College Scholars Program. She wrote her master's capstone project paper on the commuter student experience in the honors program. It was wonderful and will be very helpful to us. She has been instrumental in building our student leadership team and maintaining our Ward Hall Living Learning community, and we will miss her dearly next year. Thank you, Brittany. And wait, before you leave. Okay, now the part you've been waiting for. It's now my pleasure to begin the courting ceremony by inviting each of our thesis directors to present their students with the Gold College Scholars Graduation Cord and offer a few congratulatory words. We'll begin with Dr. Laura Lodowick, Assistant Director of the Honors Program, who has been an important mentor to our thesis writers the last 2 years and a gracious and thoughtful program partner for me. Laura.
Don't go anywhere, though. Don't go anywhere, please, Dr. Garrity. Hold on, let me get settled. Can you hear me? Okay. As you know, Dr. Garrity is finishing her 7-year-long tenure as director of the honors program with Dr. Nick Boaz, associate professor of chemistry, taking over as the director of the College Scholars Honors Program this August. Dr. Garrity will still be involved with the honors community, continuing as Dean of Engaged Learning and Honors Programs. So I have one more recognition on behalf of Amy Smith, Brittany Jingaleski, and the College Scholars Program at North Central. We recognize Dr. Kristen Garrity for her 7 years of dedication, leadership, and guidance as the director of the honors program. Thank you for your commitment to excellence and all of your work on behalf of the students, the faculty, and the program. As we say, you will always be a college honors scholar. Thank you, Dr. Garrity. Samuel Jackson, you are first up. I didn't meet Samuel until late in his collegiate career here and not in person until very recently, but I feel lucky to have done so. Samuel's project brings together previous inquiries into the human experience and the COVID-19 pandemic through his work in the English department with Dr. Jackson on his capstone project and his first original script. Samuel returned to this method of inquiry in writing a new piece, Panopta COVID, inspired by absurdist playwriting and Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot. Like the best qualities of the central character in his script, Samuel is an explorer and a discoverer who seeks to be questioning and critical in productive ways about the hard realities of life in our society. Like Samuel, the piece is also funny and ironic and observant. Samuel, you challenged yourself to complete this work at a very difficult time in a new medium for you, and your willingness to experiment and to continually expand your questioning is just one strength of yours. The meaning that you find in these inquiries is reflective of your compassionate and thoughtful spirit that challenges how things can be better, and the humor and connection that we find along the way in asking. You made it. I hope you feel the weight of this accomplishment. Congratulations, Samuel. Juliet. When I first met Juliet and heard about her project ideas, which were pretty far from my expertise with her majors of environmental studies and Chinese, I was so moved by her thoughtful care for others and their emotional experiences in the world, and her appreciation of natural resources, and her curiosity to use what she'd learned in her time here, particularly with Caitlin Ballard in sustainability and green spaces, and with her study in the Chinese program, through which she immersed in a trip abroad. Juliet combined these interests into a project that targets the college community with urgent questions of well-being and health, human care, and human flourishing. Her related proposal to bring a peace garden to campus adds a practical consideration to these theoretical concerns and brings folks together across campus. Juliet, your curiosity and gentleness with the world feels desperately needed, especially right now, and you bring joy and humor and care and a too humble intelligence to everything that you do. I know it was always a long and not easy road here, but you are exactly where you're meant to be, and I hope you feel so proud of your many accomplishments. Congratulations, Juliet. Lindsay. I'm dropping my props, apologies. Lindsay, it feels impossible to write something that encompasses the years here and your journey, but I know that's not the task today. My words will feel insufficient, so I will just say that Lindsay's project, which looks at the importance of disability and inclusion in theater, in particular theater that elevates deaf and hard of hearing culture and communities, has been a project that moves with grace and generosity on complex and urgent and sometimes controversial questions that demand ethical care, humility, intelligence, and deep reflection, which Lindsay truly brings to everything she does. Lindsay, you see the best in everything and everyone you approach, while never relenting on what might be forgotten or demands attention to improvement, including your own work. You're an honest leader and an unselfish inspiration to those around you, but you don't take that to rest in your own spotlight. In the true spirit of theater, you lift up the communal and the collective and everything that means and stands for in terms of others' experiences and your individual part in that. In the spirit of the best of theatrical practice of leadership, you prioritize community. And I think there is no greater compliment than that. Congratulations, Lindsay.
I'm Adam Kotzko of the Scheimer Great Books program. I'm here to introduce Xandra and congratulate her. Xandra is the first student to graduate from the first significant cohort that we got here at North Central College, and that's suiting because she is such a leader in the classroom, in the program, in the community, just an amazing energy and diligence and creativity that she brings to everything that she does. Xandra, I think that it's very suitable that your project, the title was a question, because as clear as you are about what you do know, in class discussion you're always even more clear about what you don't know and what we all need to get to the bottom of. And I think that's allowed you to be a great leader in discussion in a way that brings people in, that doesn't intimidate them, that brings them in. Your project shows a deep commitment to the close reading of great texts, of original texts. The work you did with Lincoln's own letters and speeches was remarkable. Your attention to detail in your research and your citation style was remarkable. You were a joy to work with at every stage, and I look forward to seeing what you do with, you know, yes. There you go.
Thank you. I'm Ashwani Garg in the Health Sciences program, PA, so I'm here to introduce Amelia Woods. And Amelia was actually our student before we had a PA program. So she contacted us as we were starting up, gathering all the faculty together. And it was such a privilege to work with her because she is pre-health, but also an athlete. And so in a true health student fashion, she asked, what can we do to make athletes' lives better, to save lives and to make sure they're safe? So she started a project for screening of myocarditis in student athletes. And this is real-world research that is directly applicable and immediately applicable. So that's what impressed me the most. And I know she will do so much, in promoting healthy lifestyles to the community and an excellent health science student. Congratulations, Amelia.
Hi, my name is David Gray. I'm chair of the Accounting and Finance Department, and this is Emily Hansen. And in her thesis titled The Fair Tax Amendment, a postmortem, Emily skillfully merged her career interests and her compassion and passion for improving fairness and equity. Em explored deeply the issues of fairness and equity and how the passage of the Fair Tax Amendment was an opportunity to improve the lives of many less fortunate Illinoisans. In authoring a compelling postmortem, Em explored a variety of factors that led the Illinois citizenry to reject the 2020 amendment calling for a progressive tax rate. Throughout the thesis process, I was continually impressed with Em's organization and thorough and thoughtful communication throughout the entire project and thesis. Congratulations on your outstanding achievement.
Good afternoon, everyone. Michelle. So I came to know Michelle years ago as she presented herself as an extremely intelligent and inquisitive person in my music theory classes when you took real interest in my music theory. Thank you for that. What started with conversations about North Hindustani tuning and temperament systems and the overwhelming complexity of the various instrumental styles of North Indian classical music and raga performance, Ali Akbar Khan, and the Beatles. What started from all of that was such a fascinating topic and turned into a really well-structured thesis. I'm so proud to have been associated with this project, and it's truly an outstanding thesis. So the title of Michelle's thesis is Nada Brahma, Sound is God. Sitarist Ravi Shankar lays foundations for the world music market. Truly interdisciplinary in so many ways, Michelle's research and writing on the influence of Ravi Shankar's work on the Western music industry in the 1960s and 70s is a mix of the historical and the theoretical. Michelle is able to show here that a common understanding of the term world music, especially as a drab musical marketing term in the West, really is partially a result of how Shankar's impact really led to our understanding of what world music is now, at least in the music industry. It was really fascinating to watch how this thesis came into something that was really entertaining to read, and also kind of, I learned a lot in the whole process too. And I think it would have been easy for Michelle to fall into a kind of cynical reflection on the state of the music industry in the past 50 years, something that I do a lot, but she didn't. She dives in, analyzes, and tells stories. She's always clear in her writing and treats a really complex subject with mature objectivity and a great attention to detail. It's also a very entertaining read, and Michelle, by her nature, is an intellectual, but she has a great sense of humor, and I really enjoyed this thesis project too. I learned a lot while working with her. So Michelle will be moving on to middle or high school public school music program, so make sure that you talk to her after this. You figure out where she's going to teach. You send your kids there. She'll continue to do some musical and orchestral performance gigs, and we maybe look forward to the possibility of her going back to graduate school in 10 years, maybe sooner. So congratulations, Michelle.
So this project began about 2.5 years ago when Bree joined a research team on a funded project exploring how we were using or not using our vacation time. Then stupid COVID, right? And then people weren't taking vacations and we had to figure out what to do. But Bree stuck with the project, and we met on a weekly basis over that summer with the team, and we were cultivating ideas, which eventually morphed into your thesis, how we were handling our time when our work shifted to home. You developed an innovative approach, a visual narrative approach to get people to describe their time. And over the past year, you have been collecting data. You have been mentoring the largest research team I have ever worked with in my 35 years at North Central College. And you have done amazing work. Bree, it has been 2.5 years, and it has been time well spent. thesis ideas come from a lot of different places. Reading the literature, other things. Lauren Rose, your idea came from the heart. And we started the project a year and a half ago, and for the past year and a half, you have put your heart into this project. You have worked with a team of researchers. You have developed a great idea understanding mental health issues for first responders, particularly firefighters, looking for the origin of some of the pressure that they're putting on themselves. What an amazing project. And we're now getting national recognition because in about 2 weeks, we're going to be presenting this research to a national audience at the Association for Psychological Sciences meeting. Lauren Rose, it has been a pleasure working with you.
I met Alexis when she took my research design course, and she was one of the strongest students in this class. She demonstrated good understanding of sampling, experimental control, internal validity, research strategies, and all the other good research stuff. But more importantly, she had those qualities that just bring joy to any professor's heart: curiosity and fearlessness. I was more than happy to serve as her thesis advisor when Alexis reached out the following semester. Alexis was interested in how members of the public perceive police officers who use excessive force as a function of the officer's mental health status. Her thesis was as ambitious as I'd expected: an experiment where she manipulated the mental health status of a police officer as well as the perspective of the participant. Her literature review showed that PTSD is a common issue among police officers and can greatly impact their performance on the job. Yet there are limited resources for seeking treatment, and the police culture stigmatizes mental health problems and therapy as weakness. Thus, officers are placed in a double bind: perform their jobs while struggling with PTSD, or face stigmatization for seeking help. Alexis found that participants who imagined themselves to be victims of police use of force were significantly more likely to blame the officer when he suffered from PTSD without seeking treatment compared to when he suffered from PTSD but sought treatment. So this study has such huge implications for policing and supports providing adequate mental health resources for officers and encouraging them to seek help. During the year and a half we worked together, I learned a lot about Alexis. I learned she is passionate about access to mental health resources and about reducing stigma associated with mental health. I learned she is incredibly responsive to feedback and works quickly and thoroughly to address every question, comment, and suggestion. I learned that she loves analyzing data in SPSS and tackling complicated statistics. I learned she is dedicated to sharing her work with the community. On Honors Day a few weeks ago, Alexis presented her thesis poster at the Rawl Symposium. Halfway through the session, she replaced the poster with a barcode linking people to a PDF of her poster, and she took her poster and ran just down the street. Actually kidding, she ran all the way downtown Chicago to participate in the Midwestern Psychological Association and present her research there as well. And then came back to North Central true story, came back to North Central College for her induction ceremony into Psychi. Alexis is planning to take her drive, talent, and dedication to graduate school, and I cannot wait to see where she goes next. Congratulations. Elena. After almost a year of being at North Central, I received an email from a student I hadn't met before. This was the first time a student had emailed me because they were interested in studying jury decision making, which is my area, so I was completely elated. There is nothing better than getting to geek out with students about your favorite topics. Elena and I had a couple of conversations about her interest, and right away she identified a novel question. Drawing on evidence of ageism in the workplace, Elena wondered whether a similar bias against older expert witnesses could exist in the courtroom, especially in fields related to tech or computer science. To answer this question, Elena designed a clever experimental mock jury study, so definitely things that we agreed on and had common passion about. In a factorial design, she manipulated the age of an expert witness, so a younger or an older expert, but also the field of expertise of the expert. They were either a fingerprint or a forensic computing expert. She found that, contrary to her predictions, it was actually the older expert who was more trusted by jurors and influenced their verdicts more than the younger expert. She presented her project at the Psychi Research Forum at the Midwestern Psychological Association, and she won a competitive regional research award from Psychi, and she is also our Department Psychi Senior of the Year. So much to be proud of for Elena. My favorite part of working with her, apart from her hilarious stories about her cats and their vastly different personalities, was developing her experimental materials. She selected an actual criminal case against a truck driver charged with illegal transportation of marijuana. She looked and reviewed federal and state laws related to this crime and looked into other examples of expert witnesses that would testify in such a case. She reasoned through how best to modify aspects of the case so that a fingerprint analysis expert and a computer forensic expert would provide testimony that is equally incriminating for the defendant. There was a lot of really careful planning and detail-oriented work in this stage of her project. When other students in our lab mentioned that marijuana possession might be too mild of a transgression to get good verdict variability, Elena said, maybe we should also do cocaine? I never thought I'd feel proud of a student for uttering those words. But in this case, it was another example of Elena's creativity and attention to methodological detail. And indeed, adding that cocaine possession charge made people a lot more likely to convict, and she was better able to test her hypotheses about the expert. Elena has all the makings of an excellent researcher. Her research question was ambitious, original, and nuanced. The execution of the research project was rigorous and careful. The reporting was clear and transparent. As part of my lab research team, she is incredibly reliable, gracious, responsible, and dedicated. She's a source of support and humor for everyone, and we are all lucky to have worked with her over the past year. Elena is headed to graduate school, and all I can say is I am sorry to see her go, but I'm very happy for the lucky mentor who gets to work with her next. Kaylin has to make her way. All rise for Kaylin. Hi. One of the most inspiring trends I saw in these young scholars is their clarity of purpose. Their research interests and other pursuits outside the classroom reflect their values and professional goals so clearly. When I was their age, I was not nearly this secure in my next steps, nor this sure of what I really cared about. As Dr. Kelly would put it, I didn't know how I wanted to make the world a better place. Kaylin is the perfect example of this clarity of purpose. Her thesis came out of her interest in making medical institutions better by aligning the increasingly divergent interests of medical staff and administrators. Kaylin's interest was outside my area of expertise, which is legal social psychology, but I wanted to work with her because she's so self-driven, hardworking, and just a joy to be around. She was therefore responsible for developing her research question, hypotheses, experimental stimuli, and then also explain them to her thesis advisor, who was a complete outsider to the topic. She succeeded on all counts. Kaylin developed 3 separate plausible scenarios where physicians or hospital administrators had to make important decisions. Should they invest limited funds into an fMRI machine? Should they change the patient care system to one that might require restructuring and staff retraining, but was also more patient-centered? All these decisions cleverly pitted medical and administrative priorities against each other. So she designed her stimuli in such a way that those interests were pitted against each other. Participants were randomly assigned the role of a hospital physician or hospital administrator, along with a description of that role. And after each scenario, they had to make a choice and indicate whether they were primarily motivated by concern for patients, concern for the hospital, or concern for the staff. This was a very complicated design, For those who know what a between subjects within subjects mixed vectorial design is, you can get the picture. For others, feel free to infer from the name just how complex this design and the statistical analysis that went with it really were. Working to analyze and even more demanding report her results was a big hill to climb, but Kaylin welcomed that challenge. She wanted to do things the right way, not the easy way. And she succeeded. Her final thesis draft is a testament of her ability to soak up feedback, problem solve, and communicate with clarity and precision. Like I said earlier, Kaylin's thesis reflects her broader interest in improving the medical field and the workplace more generally. Her internship, because yes, Kaylin completed both a thesis and an internship, even though only one of them was necessary for the honors program. And this was all on top of acting as Psych-I vice president and acing all her classes. And this resulted in a job offer. Her internship resulted in a job offer to work in human resources. Her colleagues will greatly benefit from Kaylin's broad understanding of the field, work ethic, warmth, and humor. And Kaylin, good luck in your very promising career.
Take your time. Hi, Julia. Julia, it was a pleasure to work with you on your project. When you embark on a project like this, inevitably there's challenges. And those challenges are out there and they're kind of lurking and you know they're there, but you're still kind of caught off guard when those challenges arise. But I was grateful for some of those challenges that popped up because it gave us an opportunity to really kind of hunker down in my office and talk about those exercise physiology concepts a lot. But the most gratifying thing about it was just watching Julia really rise to those challenges and overcome those challenges. And that was the most gratifying part for me. Also, her project, which is the effects of chiropractic manipulation on a player's golf game, is a very fitting project because not only is Julia a golfer, but she is starting chiropractic school the day after graduation. Congratulations, Julia.
Hi, Claudia. What does it mean to truly make a difference in changing the trajectory for the climate crisis? Too often we get sidetracked in thinking we have done good or good enough as we buy into marketing ploys replete with greenwashing. However, as Claudia Stanfa reminds us in her thesis, Restoration of Soil Organic Carbon Through Agriculture and Its Effect on Climate Change, so much of the path towards stopping and potentially reversing effects of climate change is something we don't see as it is below our feet. In this study, not only does Claudia investigate the ways in which healthy, regenerated soil works to sequester carbon, but also ways in which farmers work to employ practices such as low or no-till, field biodiversity, and a reduction of chemical inputs, as well as other regenerative practices. Through interviewing several farmers, Claudia began to gain a broader understanding of how significant regenerating soil is to farmers, as well as how challenging some of the practices are to complete. What I loved working with Claudia was that she had such an ability and eagerness to reserve judgment and to learn more, to think critically and to balance the complexities associated with soil conservation practices. Claudia, your critical thinking, listening, and reflecting, and eagerness to make the world a better place are aspects I already miss from our conversations. But I know these aspects of who you are will serve you well in all your future endeavors. Thank you for your voice and all your hard work. on a completely different topic. Rachel has been an absolute joy to work with over the past several years. Her thesis, Creating an Equitable Learning Environment as a New ELA Teacher, an essay in 4 parts, was the result of years of education and reflection. In her thesis, Rachel tackled topics such as structural inequities in education and the nuances and important differences between equity and equality, and what it takes to truly work towards equitable learning environments. She tracks important literature on culturally relevant and culturally sustaining pedagogies and the importance of building relationship with one's students. She also delved into what it means to do this work, to make mistakes, and to keep growing. And then she applied it to her and what she is already working so hard to achieve as a teacher scholar, committed to increasing equity in K-12 schools. It should be noted that while she was completing her thesis, she was applying this work to her student teaching and was also recognized by another scholar who selected her among many other student teachers across the state of Illinois as an exemplar of what it means to work toward social justice in teaching secondary English. Rachel, I am so proud of all you have accomplished, but I am far prouder of the teacher scholar I know you will continue to be. Your future students at Roselle Middle School will be so incredibly lucky to have you as their teacher.
Good afternoon. I'm very pleased to introduce Solei Tamaaj. I should mention also that Solei is this year's outstanding anthropology student. It's been a real joy to see Solei grow from a strong but quiet student into one who voices and applies a sophisticated understanding of our discipline. Indeed, a mature anthropological perspective informs her thesis, in which she asks the critical question, what are the circumstances that lead to the adoption of a life dedicated to the sustainable use of natural resources? Anthropologists who study religion have long contended that people come to hold beliefs through experiencing the social action of ritual. Solei's work shows that what anthropology has come to understand about religious belief and action applies also to the dedication to an environmentally sustainable life. Through interviews and participant observation, Solei's work demonstrates how students become committed to sustainability as part of a social process in which they take action towards an aware and critical use of resources. In the work, she notes that the college and its faculty provide students multiple opportunities to talk about and work on sustainability. Solei's work suggests that beyond the existing mindset of the individual, a community that, with places and opportunities to take action is critical in developing an identity focused on sustainability. Solei is exploring a number of post-graduation possibilities as life in our current moment presents both unexpected circumstances and opportunities. Solei, we will miss you very, very much. Stay curious. Look at this, wow. I wasn't even in the Boy Scouts, right? Stay curious and stay engaged. It's been a real
afternoon. I'm Michael Stefanik, Assistant Professor of Psychology and Neuroscience, and I have the great pleasure today of courting Abby Quinn. I think I've had you for every major neuroscience class in this discipline. Most of them, right? And even after all of that, you still chose to come and do a thesis with me. So thank you. Every single instance, you've been a welcomed addition to both class discourse, laboratory achievement, and you've been a key part of so many of the achievements of not only yourself, but your peers. Your work has had a broad impact on so many in the lab. Abby's worked with me for a little bit over a year. That was kind of interrupted by COVID in the middle. And every lab should have an Abby. Our lab operates like one big team, all working towards a singular goal of generating behavioral, molecular, and other pieces of this research puzzle. And over this past year, she's been a huge, selfless contributor to the lab's success. Whenever a task that needed to be done or a gap needed to be filled, I could always count on Abby to step up and be there, no questions asked. She was as collegial as she was reliable. Her honors thesis project, examining the neural activity of the periaqueductal gray, a key brain region that's responsible for modulating pain in people. Following the abstinence from oxycodone self-administration, this is going to be really instrumental for our future work in the lab and the interpretation of lots of data moving forward. It's really been a pleasure to work with you and see the growth over the past 4 years, to see you overcome challenges and meet them with a smile. Thank you for everything you've done in the lab, and I'm genuinely excited to see the impact that you'll leave in the future. Megan Vogel. So not everyone here may know Megan, but if you ask any neuroscience student, they'll surely say, yeah, that's Megan. She's been deeply involved in our program for her 4 years here. As a preceptor for Neuroscience 300 with me, she's been a lifeline for many students who need graphing data help or running EtherVision late at night sometimes or on weekends. I'm very thankful for your contributions in this regard, especially this term with a new baby. Hasn't been easy. As a research student with both myself and Dr. Maggie Gill, she's been a leader in the classroom, but also in the lab for 4 years. Her honors thesis examining the impact of ketamine-aided forced abstinence as a means to reduce prescription opioid relapse was both novel and compelling. It was awarded a Richter grant to support her experiments, and impressively, her presentation on this work won second place at the annual Chicago Society for Neuroscience meeting just a few weeks ago. I said this before, but it bears repeating. She only lost out to someone from the University of Chicago who was working on microglial modulation of cortical activity in monkeys. Monkeys, right? Megan was also this year's Neuroscience Program Major of the Year for all of her contributions. So thank you, Megan, for all of your help inside the lab and outside in the classroom. I have no doubt you'll be successful in this chapter, in your next chapter, as you have been here. Jacob Greenberg. Jacob was the first student at North Central College to approach me about doing research in my lab. Do you remember that? I barely had anything set up. There were boxes all over. Things still had to be unpacked, but Jacob wanted to be there helping out. I'm really fortunate that you wanted to be there because during your time here, you've really taken advantage of everything we've had to offer. You've worked with both myself and Dr. Gill, and you've been a steady and reliable influence on our lab culture. You've been, again, an integral part of success that has been really helpful for me building my lab out. You've given several regional and national presentations, and your honors thesis on the bed nucleus of the stria terminalis is going to be really influential in determining the role of stress and withdrawal to drug seeking. Your presentations include places like the Mid-America Undergraduate Psychology Research Conference, and nationally at the Faculty for Undergraduate Neuroscience annual meeting. Most impressive, however, is that Jacob was one of only 2 US students chosen for a prestigious Fulbright Research Fellowship, for which he conducted research at the University of Alberta in Canada during the summer of 2021. This was the college's first such award and a true testament to all of your hard work finally paying off. After graduation, Jacob will be attending Rosalind Franklin University of Medicine and Science, and will be pursuing a neuroscience PhD. So thank you, Jacob, for taking a chance on some guy with a bunch of boxes in a basement. And congratulations on your tenacity and persevering. That's going to serve you very well as a scientist in the future.
Hello, my name is Mitzi Smith, Assistant Professor of Theater, and I'm here to honor Danny Henephant. I met Danny her sophomore year, ironically, in my Introduction to Voice and Movement class. Shortly into this semester, and on behalf of the theater faculty, I had to break the news to Danny that while she had just received a starring role in one of our theater productions with a famed Chicago director, we had to advise her to take the show off so she could recover from a vocal injury. The devastation in her eyes was heartbreaking. She handled it with incredible maturity, however, and knew that if she wanted to continue her career in the field of musical theater, she needed to take the time to rest and address her injury. What I could not have imagined, however, is how Dani turned this opportunity of losing her voice into a project of finding her strength and helping others. She dedicated herself to this thesis project, identifying reasons for vocal injuries in musical theater performers. The idea came up just before the COVID-19 pandemic, which, as you can imagine, definitely hampered our ability to conduct research and observations as we had hoped. But that didn't deter Dani either. She was so focused on what she could achieve rather than what she couldn't, and that inspired me. As a result of Dani's research and findings, I think she has opened doors to destigmatize vocal injuries in performers, which was in fact her goal. Her work has helped her fellow students here at North Central, and I believe it will be a catalyst in helping other students. And by the way, Dani's voice returned stronger than ever as a result of her dedication. I am incredibly proud of Dani for her ability to turn what could have been a devastating experience into an opportunity to shed light and find resources for others. This speaks to who Dani is as a student and as a person, and I am incredibly grateful and honored to have worked with her, and I'm going to miss her dearly. And I know she will succeed in her future endeavors because it is her positive outlook that allows her to see obstacles as opportunities for growth rather than barriers to success. Congratulations, Dani.
Hi. It is my pleasure to present this honors cord to Abby Shale. Abby will be graduating with her BA in psychology. During her time here at North Central College, Abby served as a resident assistant on our campus, which I think gave her a very unique perspective to her work. Abby completed her thesis entitled Back to Who I Was Before, an evaluation of student well-being and support since the COVID-19 pandemic. This mixed method study examined how a suburban high school is meeting the social and emotional needs of their students. Through interviews with school professionals and a survey of the students, she learned about their services and the students' perceptions of those services. Her voice very importantly gives important voice to the adolescents in this community. It also, I think, connects with all of the ongoing challenges that we all feel as we all continue to navigate this pandemic. Abby brought great care to this work. As some of the teens claimed, I'm too cool for that. But others, they really admitted to some very deep losses. I'm confident that Abby will take the lessons that she learned from this research with her as she pursues a master's in social work at Aurora University this fall. Her care and empathy will make her a very fine clinician. Abby, it's been a pleasure to work with you and to share this journey. I know that you're going to continue to make a positive impact on your students. I also have the joy of presenting this honors cord to Ashley Zima. Ashley is graduating with a BA in choral music education. While at North Central College, she has served as the president of NAFME. She was a resident assistant and a student leader in the concert choir. At our recent honors day, Ashley received the recognition of being the outstanding major in music education. Just yesterday, she finished student teaching elementary music in Plainfield. It's been a week. Ashley actually completed her thesis entitled Personal Music Listening, a Coping Mechanism for College Students during her junior year. She finished it last year so she could be prepared to do that student teaching this year. In this qualitative study, Ashley explored how music serves as a place where we can connect with our emotions, either through active or passive listening, and sometimes just get through it. Insights from this study, I think, can remind us all to tap into the power of music as a powerful resource. Ashley's in the process of applying for teaching positions. We had a recent conversation, and she shared that she wants to make it a priority in her future classrooms to give those students a space to just listen to the music. I hope we all do that. I really remember in a lot of our research meetings, I would be driving home that day, and I would turn the chatter off on the radio and I would flip over to the music channel and be fed on the way home. So thank you for that gift. Overall, thank you for your spirit and your dedication that you brought to this work, and I know you will do great things for your students in the future. And Morgan. I'm so pleased to present this cord to Morgan Knight. Morgan will be graduating this weekend with her BA in psychology and a minor in political science. One of yours. One of mine. Yeah. During her time at North Central College, Morgan has been busy. She has served as the captain of mock trial, the president of Rotaract, and a member of Cardinal First. Morgan completed her thesis entitled Where to Now? An investigation into the ecosystem of organizations for immigrants in a suburban community. This work was inspired by her internship that she did at an ICE detainee hotline. In that role, she listened to the needs of people, and she helped get them connected to legal, health, and community resources. And this made her curious about what this looks like in a local community. How does it work? So through community volunteering and multiple interviews, Morgan gained insights into a local ecosystem of support and identified potential mechanisms for improvement. I believe this work will serve Morgan well as she continues on her path to become an attorney. She's going to be attending law school at the University of Illinois this fall. Morgan, it has been a pleasure to work with you. I'm inspired by your dedication and curiosity, and I know you will continue to do good in this world.
So I met George O'Malley in my second year at North Central. I think it was both our sophomore years here. It was in my computer organization design course. We've had a few more classes since then. I also got to work with George as advisor to the North Central Nerd Culture Club, where he served as president. Yeah, still president. So when he came to me and asked me to be his thesis advisor, I figured I must be doing something right. So in his thesis, the various difficulties with web internalization, long word to say. Yeah. He goes through the gamut of different issues that users and creators face on the web, in a truly worldwide web, and prefer some solutions. I'm happy to say that he'll be putting that same work ethic and testing his mettle as a graduate of the computer science department. And congratulations, George.
We need bigger seats, I think. I'm very pleased this afternoon to congratulate and celebrate Brandon Schlaker for completing his honors thesis, an examination of governmental policy on overpopulation. And when he approached me with this idea as a topic, I had to apologize because I have kids. And I wondered if that disqualified me, and he said, no, it'll be okay. And I'm glad for that. Brandon came to North Central on the strength of our neuroscience program, and true to his interest, he's now graduating with a degree in neuroscience, but his curiosity has not been limited to neuroscience. Instead, in a wonderful demonstration of the liberal arts, for his honors work, he wanted to explore global differences in governmental policies relating to population control, from the well-known policies of China and India to the less well-known of countries like Indonesia. And what impressed me the most about Brandon during the process was his ability to develop an original analytical framework that highlights a degree of control that governmental rules have over individual choice. And this may sound simple and straightforward, but it's not. And I think that's for the better, because even though a straight line between 2 points is the shortest distance, it's probably the least interesting. Because of Brandon's curiosity, he discovered a much more interesting and an illuminating path, and I'm glad to have made that journey with him and with you. After graduation, Brandon intends to work in the neuroscience field, where I am sure his curiosity and persistence will lead to similarly great discoveries. It's been a pleasure to work with you. Congratulations, Brandon. Well done.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kimbutorek. I'm assistant professor of political science, and I'm joined today by Jake Domingo, who is also this year's outstanding political science major. It took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to say, but I think, to say that your dedication and your discipline have been really inspiring is an understatement, Jake. What you have accomplished this semester is incredible, and this is important and timely work. I think a lot of us are thinking about the Supreme Court right now for a variety of reasons, but what your work reminds us is that the court has always been a politicized institution, and that it does real work in maintaining hierarchy, in maintaining systems of injustice, and it's a real wake-up call for us to think about the obligations that we have then to challenge those systems. And I think more than anything, it's a reminder that we do our best work when the work is personal. Right? And the experiences that you have had with the police should never happen to anyone, but they do every day. And your work reminds us of that, and it challenges us. So congratulations, you have exceeded every expectation I had of you, and then some. So congratulations, Jake.
My heart is full. I'm here to pay tribute to Nicholas Tope, who is president of the College Scholars Program, if you want to salute your president. Co-president. He also was the outstanding secondary education and the outstanding student overall in English, which that may be a trifecta, actually, by the time we add the others. Nick has made many contributions to the life of the college. He served as a student orientation leader, FIM, as our work study in English. Our inside joke is that he cannot resist an exclamation point. But actually, during COVID, that was quite helpful. He helped organize our alumni network. He did all kinds of things for us that are going to last for a long time within the department. Nick gave important support to the honors program by promoting its honors salon with a much-needed focus on social justice. He's also a welcoming face for new honors students. Nick's thesis... good. Nick's thesis is a case study that emerged from his compassionate thinking about social and emotional learning and trauma-informed pedagogies. Nick wondered whether language arts teachers at an area high school were aware of adverse childhood experiences, ACEs. You can Google that and take the quiz. The stressors and traumas that disrupt students' lives and their ability to learn. If teachers were aware, were they implementing SEL best practices? Are they given sufficient training and support? Last, can a language arts teacher in particular draw on the novels, poems, nonfiction that we use to cultivate empathy in students? It's a timely and meaningful project. And Nick, I know you're going to continue this research. And as you take up your first teaching position, where your study was carried out at West Aurora High School. Nick, your future students, I know, will benefit from your caring presence and effective instructions. Every luck to you.
When she gets here, I'd like you all to say, "Hey, Kira," because it's a bit of a walk. There she is. All right. So, Kira Clunin. My name is Sophie Hand. I'm professor in the French program. And I just want to say that when Kira first floated the desire to do her honors project, we immediately hit a major problem. How do you take all these interests and turn them into something coherent? And keeps that passion going. So we tried to whittle it down to what, 3, 4, something like that. So what we ended up with, essentially, Kira as a major in French and also as a major in education, and someone who is compelled by social justice issues to the point where she'll drive you crazy, like don't even try and have a conversation. we were at, how do we put this together? And of course, I explained to Kira that in our field of teaching French at this point, a lot of work is being done about how the rather dubious legacy of colonialism nonetheless opens the possibilities for speaking about diversity and inclusion in the language classroom. And Kira says, at all levels, of course. So this is what we did. We embarked on this to really look at this question of diversity. Then came problem number 2. What kind of diversity are we talking about, Soph? So, are we talking about speaking non-binary in a language, like many languages, that is completely gendered? You can't say, I'm happy, without giving yourself a gender, for example. So how do we do this? Do we talk about accessibility? Do we talk about inequity in terms of resources? Where do we go with this? And so we focused on diversity as a racial question, diversity and inclusion. And we're looking at the Francophone world. For those of you who don't know, the term Francophone means French-speaking, oftentimes because of a colonial past. So what Kira did was establish a case for the imminent need to bring diversity and inclusion into language classrooms at all levels, especially the French language classroom. Stop representing Paris, start representing Morocco, right? And to really help future and existing instructors think about this by providing a toolkit based on accessible, available readings in cultures, the target cultures that really expose students to much more than just grammar, vocab, etc., but the true lived culture of so many peoples. So, yeah, super ambitious, and it's been great. Kira, bonne chance, ouais? Elle va enseigner, hein? Elle a déjà un poste, n'est-ce pas? She already has a job. So, yeah, and we're super proud of Kira, and we're going to miss her greatly. Alors, sois pas timide, hein?
Here they come. Mikey G's first. Hi. How you doing? Okay. Good afternoon. I'm here to talk about Michael, or Mikey G, as we lovingly refer to him. 7 classes, we did the counting. A DC internship, not 1 but 2 theses, which I will explain in a minute. And 4 very socially and politically tumultuous years brings me and Michael to this place. So when Michael approached me to work on his thesis, I did not waste a beat in saying yes, absolutely. Okay, so let me explain 2 theses. So as a film minor and a budding documentarian and a political scientist, Michael was like, I want to make a documentary and I want to interview people, and then I want to do a survey to supplement what I find. And so I said to him, so okay, you're telling me you're going to make a full-length documentary and you're going to write a social science thesis. And he was like, well, it's just 1 project. It's not 2 projects. I'm like, no, it's 2 theses. But in typical Michael fashion, he wanted to do the right thing with his research. After exploring the urban-rural political divide in our Pulse 310 class, and then watching the events of January 6th and its aftermath, Michael wanted to understand how, or if, rural, urban, and suburban people in rural, urban, or suburban areas viewed the insurrection and American democracy fundamentally differently. He conducted 6 hours-long interviews, shot B-roll footage, used news footage, did narration, found people to do voiceovers, put credits together and everything, and made a 90-minute full-length documentary called The Division Among Us. It's a fantastic watch. And there's some cameos of some of you in there as well. With mixed results for his theoretical excuse me, let me take this back. He also created a survey and received how many responses? There it is. Analyzed the results in the context of his interviews, and with mixed results for his theoretical expectation, it was how Michael explained these null results that showed the most of his growth as a social scientist, as a political scientist, and as a citizen. He leaves the honors program and the college as a citizen equipped to explain the complexities of our exclusionary democracy and why we should care about it, and what more could we ask for other than more films from him. Congratulations, Michael. I don't have a nickname for Anthony, so here comes Anthony. Hi. I met Anthony in the fall of 2020, and immediately was like, where have you been? I have not met you before. How is this possible? Where has this brilliant young scholar been in my classes? But we made up for lost time very, very quickly. And this is also why I was so excited when he asked me to help him with his thesis. And when he came to me, he said he wanted to work on a thesis that explored support for the Affordable Care Act across congressional districts across the country. Now, if you were at Rawl, or you saw the program, or you saw the program today, you might be like, that's not at all what his thesis explored. And you would be right. So that summer, Anthony took some time, as he does in his free time, to stew and question and research, and he realized he wanted to study something completely different. And this is very on brand for Anthony, because he never stops asking questions, and he never stops researching so he can learn, but it's what he wants to do with that information that is the most important. So this has now led him to what has become not only an intellectual, but a vocational endeavor to study how union leaders can better mobilize workers to organize. Examining culinary workers in Las Vegas over a 30-year period, Anthony argued that once union leadership both looked like and advocated for the interests of workers, union membership would increase, and he was right. Las Vegas culinary leaders whose messaging focused on the rights of women and people of color and immigrant justice were successful at increasing union membership. This model of leadership broadens our understanding of substantive representation and the empowering of minoritized communities. Now, Anthony's final thesis may seem very different from his original idea, but I would argue it's actually quite similar, as they're rooted in the same thing: elite representation of communities who are often overlooked and condescended to. As a scholar and a person, Anthony recognizes his responsibility to use his privileges to help make our exclusionary democracy less exclusionary. With commitment to both scholarship and activism, Anthony will make an incredible professor once he graduates from here next year, so we get one more year to see all the things that he can do. Congratulations.
Hello, my name's Tammy Weinerd. I am the Department Chair for Health Sciences, and this is Marina Ibrahim. She is a biology major. During the spring of 2021, Marina reached out to me to see if I would direct her honors thesis related to trauma-informed care. Marina, Professor Taylor Arman, and I met to discuss her interest in studying the potential gaps of trauma-informed care in undergraduate education for those that plan to work in healthcare and medicine. Taylor and I were quite excited at the study focused, and we were pleased that our overzealous investment in Marina's topic did not scare her away. It was evident through our interactions that the three of us shared the commitment to providing trauma-informed, patient-centered services, and that this study was an important contribution to understanding how to do that. Marina aimed to gauge undergraduate student exposure to and understanding of trauma, adverse childhood experiences, and trauma-informed care. Marina excelled in completing her literature review and designing the study. She was always willing to ask for help and consider our input as she created her focus and the execution of her research project. Her research was flawless. Her practice presentation with us for the National Conference in Undergraduate Research was so flawless that it was like we were listening to a seasoned colleague. Our next step is to support her as we look together at submitting for a journal publication so her work can be shared more widely. Taylor and I consider it a privilege and a pleasure, and it was really fun to work with Marina. In July, Marina will be attending medical school at Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine in Florida to become a DO. Marina will be a change maker and an outstanding healthcare provider due to her dedication to trauma-informed care. Congratulations.
Good afternoon. I'm Bill Muck from the Department of Political Science, and I'm here to talk about Grant and his extraordinary mustache. That was the worst part about masks, that we couldn't show that off. So, Grant, it was such a wonderful experience working with you on your thesis. You brought such joy and enthusiasm to our regular weekly meetings. I truly look forward to them, watching the pieces of the puzzle come together. As all of you here know, a thesis is an incredibly challenging endeavor. There are ups and downs, times when it feels like you've got every angle figured out, and then other moments when it feels like you're standing on jello and nothing makes sense. Yet through all of those stages, you kept a smile on your face and genuinely enjoyed the process. At the end of every one of our meetings, I could feel the sense of enthusiasm. Did I forget my cord?
You did.
I'm so excited. At the end of every one of our meetings, I could feel the sense of enthusiasm bubbling up inside of you as you were thinking about that next stage of your research, and that you couldn't wait to get back to work on it. And what gave me more joy than anything was that your project allowed you to research and grapple with the core questions that have driven your time throughout your experience at North Central College. Your love of history, French history, but also a desire to use that history to comment on the state of the world today. You have a deep desire to see and understand the global world around us. Your title, Old Wine in New Bottles, so wonderfully captures your work, detailing the ways in which ideas circle back throughout history. We often think that everything is a new idea, that we've come up with an idea that nobody else has ever contemplated before. Yet you show how ideas are sticky, and they sneak back in moments when we least expect them. Your project shows how our contemporary thinking about macroeconomic growth has allowed an obscure French idea to sneak back in without anybody other than you noticing it. That is the very essence of a wonderful thesis project. I'm so proud of the work you've done and look forward to all of your future successes. Congratulations.
I actually get to cord the last two students. Their faculty members are away. So first, Lilia. And these are words from Professor Glukowski. So, an honors thesis is a culmination, a testament to scholarship, hard work, and perseverance. Lilia should be proud of her accomplishment. You've heard of cognitive intelligence and emotional intelligence, but you have probably not heard of answer intelligence. She successfully developed the first ever scale development for answer intelligence, a communication framework that focuses upon the ability to provide elevated answers to important questions in business and life. In addition to contributing to scholarship, Lilia's work is of special interest to me, not me, because she operationalized my qualitative research into an assessment instrument. It was a pleasure to see her extend my work. Thank you for your intellectual curiosity. I have learned a lot from you, and you have inspired me in my own continued research. You are deserving of this honors program recognition today. Best of luck in your future endeavors. I know you have high AQ, so the sky's the limit. And Athena. And these are words from Professor Shannon. Athena, you have exceeded expectations as an art history major since freshman year. You studied a wide range of cultures and time periods while deepening your specialized knowledge in 19th century French modernism. You were able to creatively combine your studies in art history, music, and museum practice in your interdisciplinary honors thesis, French Impressionism, Music and Art Museums. Athena, your ability to analyze deeply while seeing the big picture will serve you well beyond graduation. Congratulations. I just have to give a quick shout out to the other co-president, which is Kaylin Walsh. Kaylin. Before turning things over to the provost, a quick announcement. At the conclusion of the ceremony, we will ask that the students exit the theater first, which might take a few minutes, as you've seen, and head directly upstairs to the balcony where they will join the provost for our champagne toast. I would now like to thank Provost Goke Periola for his wonderful support of the College Scholars Program and ask him to give us some closing remarks.
Thank you, Christine. College scholars, you have set the bar for high academic excellence and contributed significantly to our community. You have studied abroad, presented at academic conferences, and participated in North Central's summer research program. Many of you have performed on North Central College's stages, while others have excelled on athletic fields. You have served as resident assistants, orientation staff leaders, first-year mentors, and also on executive boards of student organizations. You have had a very strong and remarkable presence on this campus. As you leave us, I do encourage you to remain connected with us on your life's journey. You will always be a member of this community. And on Sunday, as you walk across the stage and say your goodbyes, remind yourself to keep in touch with us, tell us about your successes, and reach out to us when you need our advice. Come back to campus often for reunions, fine arts events, not only to reconnect with your friends and faculty, but to inspire other students by your example. Class of 2022, yours has been an unprecedented journey under exceptionally difficult circumstances, but you persevered and you thrived. Congratulations on that achievement. Enjoy every moment of this celebrated weekend. Remember to express your gratitude to family members, friends, and mentors who have supported, inspired, and challenged you along the way to this milestone, as well as your faculty who have spent those countless hours reading your work over and over again. Know that they take great pride in your accomplishments and are anxious to celebrate your future successes. As a college scholar, you have gone above and beyond in your academic performance. It's been an honor having you here, and you have left a mark on our community in countless ways. Congratulations.
That's it. Students, I also have things for you, so we will do that up in the balcony.